made me cry. Now, normally when I do a reaction video, I have some sense of what it's going to be like. If it's a music video, I've usually heard other songs from the artist or have a general sense of what it might be like, but I don't even know who NF is. I don't know what country they're from. I don't know if it's a boy or a girl. I don't know if it's rap or classical music, but I am doing a reaction to NF Happy. I just gotten a couple of comments asking me to do a reaction to it, so let's do it. If you're new here, hello and a warm welcome. My name's Dr. Sil. I'm a junior doctor from Australia training to become a psychiatrist, and I make mental health education videos in my free time. I do lots of topics, but I also do reaction videos and I do commentary on music and art. So I've done a bunch of different songs, but today's song is NF Happy. Apparently it has significant mental health themes. Let's check it out. Alright, so the song is 4 minutes long. NF Real Music has 9.7 million subscribers, so I don't know how I've never even heard of them. And this song has 32 million views. Okay, this will be fun dealing with a copyright. Anyway, let's just see how we go. Headphones on.
Dear God, please hear me out. I know it's been a couple years since I've reached out and said hello. I bet you're wondering why I keep obsessing on and stressing all the little things when I should be living life and soaking up the memory. I know I've been selfish, I have no excuse to give you it's true. Hanging by a thread's how I live. I don't know why, but I feel more comfortable living in my agony, watching my self-esteem go up in flames, acting like I don't.
Well, okay, there you go. Yeah, there's quite a bit to talk about. I was actually really affected by this music video clip. I think it's almost grabbed my attention more than the music, to be honest. It was really evocative to see this kind of cinematography, where you have the child and probably her future adult self in this kind of mirrored relationship. And I just think it so far has done a really good job at capturing some of the problems of intergenerational trauma and neglect, and modeling, right? You see this innocent young kid, a child represents innocence and vulnerability, and they're so dependent on their environment and having a safe space, but having a parent or who's affected by substances, and that neglect, and sometimes the child needing to step up and care for the parent, the parentification of a child. This is not the ideal way for a child to grow up, right? Now, the lyrics of the song are talking about it really has a theme of, reconnecting with God, re-exploring the religious relationship there. And usually that's done when you're in a time of hardship. And there's obviously that theme of grinding, just getting through, just surviving. Let's keep watching.
Care what anyone else thinks when I know truthfully that that's the furthest thing from how I feel, but I'm too proud to open up and ask you to pick me up and pull me out this hole I'm trapped in. The truth is I need help, but I just can't imagine who I'd be if I was happy. Yeah, been this way.
Whoa. Just really important themes there around asking for help and being too proud for it. Really common. Look, it's common in both genders. I see it a lot in young men who, men in their 20s, when do you ever see a man in his 20s see a therapist? That's very rare. It's very hard to open up and be vulnerable because it's never been safe. People find it hard to open up if it hasn't been a safe environment for them to do it in their life. And so when you're, having this development of needing to be tough and not cry and suppress your emotions, it's very hard to then be vulnerable and ask for help. So, it's actually, the paradox is that the thing that takes the most strength is not looking strong, it's looking vulnerable. And I find it hard. A lot of people find it hard, but it's critical because life is hard and you can't do it alone, right? We are social creatures. We need to connect. This line around being too proud to ask for help kind of reminds me of the kind of, it's not quite narcissistic personality disorder, but that's kind of what narcissism can use as, because narcissism is a defense mechanism, right? Someone who has a narcissistic personality, they're incredibly vulnerable and sensitive. And they have this external appearance of having a strong, confident, I don't give a crap what people think attitude. But inside, they're a kid just protecting themselves, as we all are, right? And this line around not knowing who I'd be if I was happy, the problem with it is that it talks about happiness like it's something you achieve. But without a doubt, happiness, the healthiest way to think about happiness is as a side effect to a process. And the process involves, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. With you need to make sure you're in good health physically and mentally, got stable housing, a job, relationships. But when you're doing all the basic things right, the side effect is happiness. But striving for happiness, that's not really ever worked. And ask the people who think money buy happiness when they have all their money. The first thing they want to do is show people all their money. That's an attempt to connect, because it's relationships that bring happiness, not the money. The money is their tool of trying to connect to other people that they respect. So, yeah, it's much better to invest in relationships than solely money, especially if it's at the cost of relationships. I wish people knew that. And if I might not be a millionaire in terms of my money, but if I looked at my relationships, I wouldn't trade them for millions and millions of dollars. I love my friends. I love the relationships I've got with my family and my partner, and that's where I get the meaning in my life. If I had to decide where to travel in the world, it would really depend. Well, a significant amount of that would depend on who am I traveling with and who am I visiting. Because if I'm going to a small countryside town with not many attractions, but I'm seeing people that I love, then that's just as fun a trip as going to a city with no one I know that's full of tourist attractions and stuff. Anyway, it's all about balance. It's all about homeostasis, yin and yang, all that stuff. But happiness is a side effect.
So long it feels like something's off when I'm not depressed. I got some issues that I won't address. I got some baggage I ain't open yet. I got some demons I should put to rest. I got some traumas that I can't forget. I got some phone calls I've been avoiding. Some family members I don't really connect with. Some things I said I wish I would've not let slip. Some hurtful words that never should've left my lips. Some bridges burned, I'm not ready to rebuild yet. Some insecurities I haven't dealt with yet. I'll be the first to admit that I'm a lonely soul, and the last to admit I need a hand to hold. Losing hope, headed down a dangerous road. Strange, I know, but I feel most at home when I'm living in my agony, watching my self-esteem go up in flames, acting like I don't.
I'm sure you guys are really upset with when I'm pausing the video. I've got to pause it frequently because there's so much content to reflect on, and I'll forget stuff. So that footage of the child seeing their parents fight in an abusive argument. Again, you can have very healthy disagreements. That's good. But when there's shouting, verbal abuse, physical intimidation, dysregulation, that's out of control. That's unhealthy. And a child watching that and then ending up in a similar relationship, that is kind of a defense mechanism that Freud talked about. If you haven't read much about Freud, there's a couple of things he talked about that were a bit dodgy, as you might know. But some of the stuff he talked about was really incredibly insightful and helpful. And one of the things he wrote about is something called repetition compulsion, which is if a child has been brought up in a traumatic or visualizing abusive relationships, that is a modeled and internalized representation of relationships, and people will seek what is familiar, and so they are more likely to end up in a similar dysfunctional relationship. Now, it's fine to have healthy disagreements in front of kids. In fact, that's useful because then they can see examples of, respectful disagreement, which is a critically important ability for a child to develop. But visualizing abuse and trauma and emotional dysregulation, the term used is high expressed emotions. Visualizing that is not helpful. Let's keep going.
Care what anyone else thinks when I know truthfully that's the furthest thing from how I feel, but I'm too proud to open up and ask you to pick me up and pull me out this hole I'm trapped in. The truth is I need help, but I just can't imagine who I'd be if I was happy.
If you're a bloke listening to this song and you're really connecting with this narrative of this chronic inner struggle, loneliness, inability to open up, connect, be vulnerable because of the fear and of doing that. And don't be ashamed to use the word fear, right? I'm not judging. There's no value judgment here. It's just, it's something you've never done. It's something that it's never been safe to do. But the truth is we've all been hurt and we've all been children, and there's inside of us all a small child that we're protecting. If this resonates with you, I just want to really support you to just try and book an appointment. You can do it online to start with, just a phone call and try. It's better to do it in person, I think, but you don't even have to turn up physically. You can do telehealth now. Just to start a conversation around your emotions and anger and shame and fear, and to show you that, like, first of all, you don't have to talk about anything you don't want to talk about in therapy, right? It's guided and led by you. And a good therapist will not push too hard. So don't think that they're going to go straight into, like, tell me about your daddy. But if that's what you want to talk about, then that's fine. But it's led by you. All you have to do is get to the door, make the appointment, or make the phone call. You just got to start. Then the therapist will support. And it can be incredibly helpful because if you don't understand your unconscious mechanisms, you will be a victim to them. And you will make decisions that you regret. And a good life is characterized by good decisions. And when you are emotionally when you're burdened by emotional dysregulation and emotions affecting all of your decisions in unhealthy and unhelpful ways, you can't progress in life in a good way. You're just going to make regrettable decisions. It's going to cost you relationships, jobs, and problems. It's just going to cause problems. It's really stop investing in stocks. Invest in yourself if you have the need for it, because the investing in yourself will pay more dividends than most stocks. If it was a question between Apple in the 90s versus therapy, sure, buy Apple stock in hindsight, but no, in all seriousness, investing in yourself is absolutely critical.
Don't know what's around the bend. Don't know what my future is, but I can't keep on living in my agony, watching my self-esteem go up in flames, acting like I don't care what anyone else thinks when I know truthfully that's the furthest thing from how I feel, but I'm too proud to open up and ask you to pick me up and pull me out this hole I'm trapped in. The truth is I need help, but I just can't was happy. Yes, I was happy. Yes, I was happy.
Oh, that made me cry. It doesn't take much, when an important thing to remember when I make these comments about parenting. First of all, I don't have any kids, so don't bloody listen to me. But second of all, you don't need to be perfect. In fact, it's very important that parents are not perfect. It's just about being good enough. Okay, if you want to read up on it, Daniel Winnicott, Good Enough Mother. That was the research that kind of was around just 30%, 40% consistency, and if you're good enough that amount of the time, then you should the child should be all right. That's the ideal. You don't need to be perfect. And the reason it's good to not be perfect is because life is hard and there are a lot of imperfections in the world, and it's important for children to develop resilience to imperfections and unfairness, and it's critical, right? Now, because I like that song so much, I am going to subscribe, and I want to listen to all of NF's stuff, and I'm going to like it as well. If you haven't done that to my channel, please consider doing it. I'd really appreciate it. It helps me out a lot. I totally understand why that song has 32 million views now. It's catchy. It's hitting on this, societal dysthymia, right? Of all these people who are just struggling to connect. But maybe if you've got it in you, go to your friend who you think's struggling and give them the opportunity to talk about it, and then they might give you the opportunity to talk about it, and you'll form a deeper connection. Because the depth of friendships is dependent on the level of vulnerability that you can show. All right? If you can't be open, if you can't say things are going bad and that things are tough, and if you can't connect like that, then that is a superficial relationship, because reality is that everyone struggles at times, and you need to be able to tell your friends when you're struggling. And hopefully that just being heard and just listening is therapeutic. You might not need a solution. Maybe you just need to be heard. And if you are struggling, I just wish you all the best to get through this phase you're going through. But other than that, that's it for this video. I wish you all just a beautiful day. Call a friend, tell them you love them, and I'll see you all in the next video. And comment down below any other songs you want me to react to. All right, bye for now.